The movie begins with a tense scene on a ship where several men gather to discuss their plans. Prominent among them is Verbal, a man who looks like a victim of circumstance. Verbal is limp and looks defenseless, which makes the other men underestimate him. As they discuss their criminal intentions, one can sense a dark atmosphere as they talk about their actions with ease, but this only emphasizes their true intentions. At the police station, the detectives are trying to make sense of a complex case of a mysterious murder. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense as each new interrogation reveals how difficult it is to solve this intricate case. At the center of this chaos is Detective Deadwood, who becomes a key figure in the investigation. He and his partners are under pressure to find out what happened on the ship where the story began. Verbal, who is at the station, begins to tell his version of events. He speaks with a quiet, nervous voice, trying to give the impression of a simple man who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He recalls how he was arrested at the scene of the crime and how he became involved in the world of crime. Gradually, the viewer is immersed in his memories of how he met the other members of his team. Prominent among these team members is Todd, who, like Verbal, seems clumsy and defenseless. Todd is constantly seeking approval and wants to prove his worth. His fear of failure creates even more tension in the group, where everyone is trying to save face and demonstrate their strength. Their interactions are rife with conflict, which builds up amidst the general stress. This leads Verbal to become a peacemaker of sorts, although his true intentions remain uncertain. As events unfold, a team of criminals are given an assignment that puts them on the brink of danger. They decide to undertake a risky job that requires not only courage but also cunning. Verbal, possessing the ability to manipulate others, begins to behave more confidently. He realizes that his survival depends on his ability to create the impression that he is an important member of the team. His inner conflict intensifies as he strives to preserve his life, but at the same time does not want to betray his new friends. The scene with the preparation for the crime is filled with tension and anticipation. Each member of the team prepares for the upcoming case in their own way. Some of them look confident, while others are full of doubts. Verbal uses this moment to emphasize his qualities. He talks about the need to work together, and his words help to unite the team, although in his heart he is already thinking about how he can get out of this situation unscathed. The climax comes when the team faces unforeseen circumstances. Suddenly they find themselves trapped, and the situation begins to spiral out of control. Scenes of tense confrontations with the police and other criminals are followed by moments where everyone begins to suspect each other. Every move becomes critical and the fear of violence is in the air. Verbal, who has played the role of a silent observer throughout the story, becomes more involved. He sees the situation spinning out of control and realizes that he needs to show his agility to survive. His inner feelings become more vivid when he is faced with the choice of saving himself or helping his comrades. Every moment becomes a test for him, and he must choose between his own gain and his loyalty. This time, we see the characters begin to sort out their true motivations. Their inner feelings become more apparent. Some want to stay alive, some want revenge, and some are just trying to understand how it all happened. The atmosphere heats up, and each of them becomes a victim of their own fears and insecurities. Verbal, sensing the growing tension, begins to manipulate others to keep himself alive. The dialogues in this section become particularly important. They are full of mistrust and mutual accusations, which creates a sense of confusion and fear. Every word takes on weight, and the viewer realizes that some characters are willing to do anything to save their own skin. Verbal, with his fragile exterior and inner strength, finds himself at the center of these conflicts. He manipulates information and creates confusion to divert attention from his true intentions. The finale of the movie approaches, and all the storylines begin to converge. Verbal finds himself facing justice, and his testimony becomes crucial to the outcome of the case. We see him confidently telling his version of events, using every detail to create the necessary impression. However, the viewer soon begins to realize that his words and actions do not match. Verbal straightens out the rest of the characters by manipulating and deceiving them. His cunning becomes his only salvation. Everything he has done up to this point begins to take on a completely different meaning. His true nature is revealed, and he turns out to be not just a victim, but a skillful manipulator who was able to outsmart everyone else. Verbal leaves the police station and his inner conflict is resolved. He has achieved his goal, but he has left behind him ruined destinies and the lives of others. Viewers are left with questions about how far a man can go to survive and what moral boundaries he is willing to cross. The movie concludes its journey, leaving viewers in a state of reflection on the nature of human cunning and betrayal. The movie is not just a crime thriller, but an in-depth exploration of the characters' inner world, their fears and desires. Each scene is saturated with emotion and tension, which makes the movie exciting and leaves a deep trace in the minds of viewers.